in all of our colors. Opponent's playing Rutherford Banks. So Stargazer is a sweet card. You can loot and gain life and all that jazz. It's a 1/1. So I appreciate everyone hanging out today to watch some Magic, and I'm going to play a match or two of Hex, and then I'm going to call it a day. My wife will be home within the next 45 minutes or so. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Hex, it's a digital TCG that's similar to Magic. It's free to get started with, but you can also buy cards for it as well. I'm going to go ahead and attack with Stargazer here because we have Brown Fox Scout, which is a 3/2 quick troop that can get cast next his end step, get some pressure on. Usually the Rutherford Banks decks are control decks or ramp decks, either of which we want to get some pressure going sooner rather than later. He's playing Blood Diamond, so usually that's the control configuration. So we want to just apply pressure here ASAP. Martyr's a pretty good draw. So this is like this game's version of like Swords of Plowshares or Path to Exile. It turns the creature into a monument of the Martyr, which gives all of your troops +1/+1, or the controller's troops of the creature that died. Wintermoon's Power shuffles 2 cards from your discard pile back into your deck and adds the line of text draw a card to it. No, this game is very, very close to Magic. Yeah, you have resources in your deck. You can interact with each other on, they call it the chain instead of the stack. Each player, if you've ever played Magic Vanguards, each player has a champion that's basically able to, each player has a champion that has a special ability, and they have variable life totals depending on what your champion is. Opponent missed his resource drop this last turn, so that's pretty good for us. So I'm going to play our resource out. I have martyred my own stuff on occasion. We have a number of like 1/1 idiots in our deck, and occasionally you'll just martyr one of them to push lethal through in combat or to make combat favorable for you. So this shoves for 4 here. He has a repel. That's fine. This destroys an attacking creature. So we lose our 3/2. He takes 1. I'm attacking with this because I'm just going to tap out for Crow Feather this turn. And this, as a neat mechanic, that's a good example of a digital-only mechanic. The next troop in my deck gets 2/2 and gains flight. And then, so it keeps track of what the next troop in my deck is, which is sweet. And then we're going to activate my champion's ability to put Brown Fox Scout and Bluegrass back into my deck. And the next time I draw these cards, they'll draw a card when I play them. Valorant F-Score. I'm going to start by looting with Stargazer, see what we draw. Another shard, bin one of those. Yeah, a lot of very similar mechanics. Swift Strike, Trample, Crush, etc. Attack with my 2/4. Sounds like my wife is home, so I'm not sure how much Hex we're going to get in today. No, the format's pretty wide open. You can look at, someone asked if I bought my deck or if I ground into it. I just bought my deck outright. You can look at decks that are successful here, and I actually wrote an intro guide to Hex for Magic players that you can check out here. All of the decks I've been playing in this game are considered brews, and I've been being moderately successful with them. The game, the current format for the Constructed is slower overall, so you're able to play slightly more powerful things. This counter magic is sweet. In addition to countering his spell, it's also going to make all his other copies of the spell cost more. So the next time he casts an Inquisition, it's going to cost him 4 instead of 2.
Oh, hey, I didn't expect you to be right beside the door.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I got you a present.
So this is a constant that's called a Soul Marble. When he basically puts 10 resources into it, it turns into either a 6/6 Vigilance spell shield or a card that gives all of his cards 2/2.
I told him I got him a present, and he turned around and smiled at me.
So this is the troop that was in my deck, so it's prophesized, so it's a 3/3 now instead of a 1/1, and it flies. And now when I play this, the next troop in my deck also gets a prophecy as well. Yeah, the game also has a PvE mode where you can grind, just, you know... We're going to discard a Martyr.
Were you in the storage room today?
I don't remember. Why?
Why is the piece to the futon out here?
I definitely didn't bring that up.
I'm assuming your child did.
So if he has, his deck plays 4 sweepers, so if he has a extinction which just kills all creatures, it's going to be pretty rough for us here. But other than that, we're doing pretty well. He has Inquisition, so do I want to martyr something in response is the question. I don't think I do. I'm just going to let him take my martyr away. I don't really want to trade my martyr for his 2/1 to make all of his other future guys bigger.
And I look at D.
Where'd you get that from?
It's his new present. Somebody at work. Whoa.
Luna Paw is sweet. So this is prophesized from this little guy, and she gives the next 3 cards, the next action, resource, and everything in my deck a prophecy. So we'll play her out. So the next Coyotle I draw is going to be 2/2 from this effect, and then 2/2 from her effect, so it's going to be +4/+4. And the next action I draw will cost 2 less, and the next resource I draw will give me extra charges for my champion's power. I'm going to attack for 5 here. Would be pretty surprised if he doesn't have an extinction. He's seen 12 cards, so pretty likely chance. Yeah, and this block here is pretty indicative of a sweeper coming, I think. So it might have been right to save this since he's already played 2 discard spells. Yeah, and there's the sweeper. So we're just going to gain 2 life with Stargazer. He's going to clean up all of our guys. We need to find like an Oracle Song to draw 2 cards now. Thankfully, he hasn't hit really any of his good threats. I guess the Soul Marble is threatening to start attacking us next turn, so I probably shouldn't have extended into the sweeper with the Lanu Paw. Play the Wild Shard out, which gives us extra charges because it was prophesized, and we'll put Lanu Paw and Thunderfield Seer back into my deck. So we need to hit some action here, but this guy, even if he makes a 6/6 with it, isn't going to kill us that quickly. Angel of Dawn it will, however. So, awesome.
What are you doing?
So, hopefully this is a creature and not a shard.
Does he need a bottle or something? He's awfully cranky.
Yeah, he might. This is pretty good. So this was prophesized, so it destroys a troop with 4 or more toughness, and it draws a card when I cast it. And it costs less because it was prophesized as well. It made your counter magic. So, okay, now we're suddenly in a very good spot. A Blood Wild. What does Blood Wild look like, Uvis? So he's only at 11 here, so this can actually race this 6/6. Well, I guess his Soul Arraignment. So he chose the constant version. Giant Corpse Fly, so we're going to counter that, and this draws a card because it was prophesized. So, in a pretty good spot. Martyr's great. And this one also draws a card, so we shuffled it back in earlier. Got a Time Ripple. Time Ripple is kind of like Boomerang. It returns target card to its owner's hand, but it also makes it cost 1 more. So basically, he's probably going to play a troop out next turn, and will Time Ripple his Soul Arraignments, and then Martyr his troop, and just keep beating him down here. So we'll respond to this trigger of him getting to make us discard a card by Time Rippling, Soul Arraignments, and then Martyring his Corpse Fly. Unfortunately, this Martyr draws a card, so if it's not another quick action that we can play right away, we're going to have to discard it, but that's still fine. And it's just a resource, so that's fine to get through. So now he has this Monument of the Martyr that gives any other troops he plays 1/1, but his Corpse Fly is gone. And he's at 8, and we're beating him down with a 3/3, so... Oh... So he's got one more charge till he gets to his champion's ability. His champion's ability returns a troop from his crypt into play. Mom's making the bottle, bud. She'll be up in just a minute. So I think we want Arcane Focus and Time Ripple at this point, because he's going to get to replay his Soul Arraignments next turn. So if he draws like a Vampire this turn, that would be bad for us, because he can play Soul Arraignments plus the Vampire. He's so hungry, Mom.
Well, I mean, I just walked in the door. Why didn't you feed him?
He was playing when you walked in the door. He was fine. Vampires and fighting creatures. Killipede. That's pretty good, especially since we're not going to be able to target it. So Killipede is lethal in 2 hits, basically. The first time it hits you, you get toxic, and then if it hits you while you're toxic, you die. So Oracle Song to draw 2 is a pretty good top deck. Found a Stargazer, and this one's got all sorts of prophecies on it. So that's a 7/7. I'm going to play this out. And they both have flying because they were prophesized. We'll ship for 3 here. And then we've got 2 lethal threats on the table next turn that both have flying, so I'm not sure he has any. Oh, he definitely has outs. He could play a Vampire that'll have lifelink and block the Stargazer, and then... So we're taking 4, and we're getting a toxicity counter. Alright, I think passing means he's dead. So I'm going to ship with both our guys. Both of these are lethal. I don't think there's an instant speed card that kills 2 things. Yeah, just dead. Sweet. Got him. So, reserving.
Figure it out.
I'm not a huge fan of the verdicts. I like the extra prize falls in this matchup. Purge is medium, so Purge exiles all cards or voids all cards that don't share a trait with something. So it's powerful when he's got his things that give Shroud in play, but at the same time, it's not great because it targets a troop I control, so if he just kills the troop in response, we just miss out. I could possibly want Nature's Reigns to deal with Soul Marble, plus sometimes they bring in a card that says you can only cast cards on your turn. So I think I want 1 Nature's Reigns. That leaves me 2 cuts for these Pride Falls. Crow Feather seems pretty powerful. I like a lot of my cards in this matchup. Maybe Stargazer's not great because we want a quantity of cards instead of like specific selection. I guess Brown Fox Scout doesn't block a ton. Actually, I'm going to trim the Brown Fox Scouts instead of the Stargazers. I think I'd rather have my more powerful individual threats instead of like slightly weaker finesse threats. So yeah, let's give this a try. Winter Zoop with the follow. I appreciate that. If you like Constructed Hex or Constructed Magic, this is a stream for you. That's all we play here. No shards, so easy mulligan. Sounds pretty reasonable. I like Stargazer on 1. Play that. Play Stargazer. The next turn we'll play Howling Bluegrass Plains for a Sapphire. So this is a shard that gives us any of our 3 colors, but we have to have Coyotle in our hand or in play for it to do that. So we're going to play this out. Grab a Sapphire. Probably just looting with I'm going to loot with Stargazer now, because if we hit Arcane Focus, we want to cast it or like another 1-drop. I'm going to bin an extra copy of Martyr for now. My wife's been playing the campaign a lot. The PvP aspect basically requires a lot of grinding, or you either have to grind a ton or put some money into it, essentially. So trying to get into PvP completely for free is going to be tough because you have to grind a lot. But that being said, you can do it if you're up for the grind. I think I'm gonna put these martyrs back into my deck, so they say draw a card on them, and then loot with Stargazer and see what we find.